Assalamualaikum. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rizal Bur Bayores with my friend Habib Apna. We are to try to present our paper that have a title Improving Forecast to Pay Process Efficiency with RPA using fuzzy manual algorithm in process mining in International Conference on Decision Aid Science and Application 2020 on Thailand. Next slide, please. This is on our agenda. Next slide, please. This is a concept of process mining. There is a real world, and we are trying to model it by software system. And the software system have an event log that from that event log, we try make a model that called discovery, and we try to enrich that model by model enhancement. Next slide, please. This is also example spaghetti process model by Van der Als 27, and we try to solve it with fuzzy miner. Next slide, please. In this example of robotic process automation by Khalid Zen in 2017, there are some process have many blue, light blue, that shown repetitive or automated, can be automated or can be using RPA, and the black blue that it's difficult or almost impossible to make automation. Next slide, please. This is an robotic process automation. Is an emerging a software-based solution, automated business process, data repetitive and human tasks by Acquire and Rodriguez 2017. And KPMG and big clients in 2020 said that RPA can improve between 45 or maybe 75% in cost to improve the process model. And RPA is innovating, improving business process. Next slide, please. Based on that fact, we try to make a research question. Number one, how effective is process mining using fuzzy miner to analyze repetitive human tasks and find RPA opportunity using data from BPI Challenge 2019. And number two, how to measure repetitive tasks to find RPA opportunity from process mining. And number three, how to measure efficiency of an RPA to reduce costs from a forecast to pay process. And for the next presenter, I will introduce Habib Apna.
Thank you, sir. Next, we will get into the research methodology. From this figure, we reference from process mining methodology from Van Eck in 2015, and we saw that the research methodology from planning into the extraction, and then in the data processing, we define attribute and filtering logs, and then after that, we mining and analysis and that things will be process discovery and process analytic, and we will get deep into the process analytic, and then after that will be evaluation. After we get the satisfactory result, we will be measure RPA comparison, and then process improvement, BPM redesign with RPA. Next, discussion and result. The first thing is preparing raw data, and the data from purchase to pay was extracted from BPI Challenge 2019. and then thereafter export into event log, and this will provide insight regarding which activities and event will be discovered. As we saw in this picture, this is the attribute from dataset. And then after that, we get into the data processing, the dataset attribute definition table below. The category is the process type from the purchase to pay, and then case ID and activity is related because the every activity or process will have ID in dataset. Okay, and then and so on. And then after that, we'll get into the process discovery. We'll see from the process model, from the purchase order item and the black arrow, so many repetitive tasks turn into this thing, and until next we'll clear invoice. And after that, we see in process analytic, we see in three process repetitive tasks from record good receipt, purchase order item, and record invoice receipt. Then after that, we see the comparison. There is there is three type from we see in table is user, user who access system, and then a batch, and is automation, and then none is manually. We see in from this thing, the user type is many do in this data set. And after that, we see in the process activity from this vendor, and get the from the total user 5 and 10, there are user activity from this total process. Okay, then after that, we created a graphical, and from the January in 2018, we see in yellow there are process activity who do by a user, and then we saw in from vendor 108, we see in too many user do in this process. And then we see in vendor 126, we see there is no automation or batch using in this one. And we measure a RPA comparison, how to get a calculate the process, how to get value from automation. And we see the automation result from this vendor is we get into the study case from vendor 117 is 4% automation result, and vendor 126 is 0%, and then vendor 108 is 3% in January. And next, we see in process discovery from vendor 126, there are three process are the repetitive tasks. And then after that, we see the BPM model before we applying RPA. From this thing, we see the create purchase order by user and approve purchase order, and then delete. And after that, the record good receipt is by user, and then record invoice receipt from user. And we saw it in this thing. In the dark blue is the RPA. Different after applying RPA, we see in one process, two process, and then we get into the review purchase order. And then after that, from if yes, it will be process purchase order by RPA.
Time.
And then next. Okay, after that, we see in the user, in this case study is from the 7 worker in vendor, we assume that RPA is 150 million. We calculate return of investment from this vendor. Then after that, we get the result is 159, and as this means ROI is exceed 100%, it cover capital project, and we have fundamental case an RPA project is feasible in terms of financial cost. And conclusion and future work, we found possible solution with RPA on the purchase data set collected from event log, and we get the and read process model, and then measuring the efficiency by calculating the ROI from RPA, we get an 159. And our next research will focus on development of other efficiency and effectiveness calculate and model, and implementing the algorithm of purchase to pay process with RPA bots is our next agenda.